Who are Jon Jones' toughest matchups at heavyweight? Well, today, guys, that is what we're going to be working out in this tier list video. I've got the heavyweight contenders all around the screen, and I'm going to be dragging them and dropping them on the tier list where I think they're best suited. So S tier is Jon Jones' most dangerous matchups, all the way down to F tier, which is matchups that just aren't dangerous for Jon Jones whatsoever and don't pose any threat to him losing his belt. So I'm MMA Tizzer, and without further ado, let's get into this tier list video. So starting off with Tom Aspinall. He's going at the top of A tier. Tom Aspinall is really well-rounded. He's got good jiu-jitsu, he's got good grappling, and he's really surprisingly quick, considering, he ain't exactly the trimmest of dudes at heavyweight. He weighs in at the more heavy side. Jeez, he's so fast. He's got really quick hands, good boxing. I know he's a former sparring partner of Tyson Fury, so he's definitely got good habits in the boxing department. Good leg kicks too. Obviously, freak injury in his last fight, but I'm sure he'll win his next fight. He's coming back. And really good jiu-jitsu, like I said. So if this fight went to the ground, I'd have faith that he wouldn't get absolutely Cyril Ganned like Jon Jones absolutely demolished Cyril Gane, which was actually pretty hard to watch. So good hands, good leg kicks. I think he could be pretty tricky for Jones to beat. He's got pretty good range. I think he's got like an 81-inch reach, so it's shorter than Jones, but it's not too short that it would be a massive discrepancy. And he might try and take down Jones. You never know. He's big enough to do it. Like I said, good hands could maybe cause some problems for Jones on the feet. And as far as we've seen, he's got a decent chin. And we haven't really seen his cardio to the 5-round mark, but it can't be that bad, can it? Anyway, moving on. Jailton Almeida. He's going in B tier. Okay, we're putting Jailton in B tier. This is because, as far as I'm aware, Jailton Almeida, his wrestling's really good, and so is his jiu-jitsu, especially for a heavyweight. So on the ground, this fight is pretty good. I think he has similar wrestling to Jon Jones, and from what we've seen, he's even more dominant in the wrestling department. He just shoots his double legs, his like massive double leg, pushes you over, pulls you down, suffocates you on the ground, and then just eventually finds the rear naked choke. But what is surprising about Jailton Almeida is he's actually very light. He weighs in at about 228 pounds, I think, 230 pounds. So he is actually a lot smaller than a lot of these heavyweights. But to be honest, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, no. It seems to give him a speed advantage, and you can really see that. So would he be faster than Jones? Yeah. So that would give him an advantage on the feet, because obviously this guy doesn't have the striking experience that Jon Jones does. So he definitely need all the speed advantages he can get. But as far as wrestling goes, he's really competent. Probably a better pure wrestler than Aspinall, but Aspinall's more well-rounded, which is why I'm ranking him above him in terms of a threat to Jon Jones. And he's just not proven enough on the feet for me to rank him any higher. But, if he got a double leg on Jones, Jones could be in a lot of trouble. I imagine this guy's hard to get off. I know he's kind of light, but, he's very strong. He looks very strong. Kind of scarily strong. It's almost like he might be on something, but you never know. And that's why I'm putting Jailton Almeida there. We move on to our next fighter, Sergey Pavlovich. I'm putting him in A. I'm putting him beneath Aspinall. Sergey Pavlovich on the feet is incredibly dangerous. He's probably the most dangerous person on the feet. But the worry is that he might not be able to defend a Jones takedown, which is why he's in A and not in S or whatever. On the feet, insane boxing. Moves out the way leg kick, so he does show developments in his striking. He's young, he's still improving. He's in his early 30s. He's a lot younger than Jones. I think he's a good 4 years younger than him. Very fast hands, good chin from what we've seen. In that Blades fight, he was eating shots. It wasn't one-sided. He was taking big hits. And obviously his biggest his biggest attribute is that he's got insane power. This guy, he's the Russian Ngannou, but he's got more technique than Ngannou. Fast hands, incredible boxing, and you never know. Jones has never felt power like that. So on the feet, it's dangerous for Jones. But if Jones gets this to the ground, it's basically over immediately, because I don't think Sergey Pavlovich would be able to get back up, and I'm pretty sure he'd gas, because he's got a very muscly build, and that requires a lot of oxygen to maintain. So that's why he's there. But if this goes to the ground, it'll be a long night for Sergey Pavlovich, I'm sure of it. We move on. C tier, Stipe Miocic. In years gone by, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, this would have been higher. But after Stipe's recent performances and the fact he's aging, he's moved down. Stipe's, I think he's in his early 40s now. I think he's 41. He might even nearly be 42. And obviously, you know, no 41-year-old is in prime condition. And if we saw Stipe's last fight, he definitely wasn't in prime condition after that, because he got absolutely flatline KO'd by the world's strongest puncher, more or less, in Francis Ngannou. Absolutely annihilated in that fight. He had nothing for Francis. Was getting outboxed by him as well, which is a worrying sign considering Ngannou isn't really the cleanest boxer. Not to say he doesn't have hands. But yeah, Stipe's there. He's decent at striking. He has okay power. He has good wrestling. And he has good cardio. And he has a good chin. But that's it. He's just an all-rounder. He doesn't really have anything too special, too amazing. So that's the problem. I think Jon Jones has got better wrestling than Stipe. I think Jon Jones has probably got more tools in the striking. You know, Stipe has more power in his hands, yeah, but Jon Jones has oblique kicks and stuff like that, which I can imagine would annoy Stipe, because you don't really see that too often at heavyweights. He's quite accustomed to people just throwing plain leg kicks, or maybe no leg kicks at all, because heavyweight is a very talentless division, but there is more talent coming in. But yeah, so that's why Stipe's there. He's old, he's going to be slower, weaker now, not as strong, and he also is quite light as well, so I could just see him maybe getting ragdolled in the wrestling by, you know, a 20-pound heavier Jon Jones. We move on. Our first F-tier fighter on the list, Derrick Lewis. I don't think Derrick Lewis would pose any threat to Jon Jones, because he absolutely sucks at this point in time. He's on like a 3-fight losing streak. Might even be 4 now, actually. And I'm not surprised, because Derrick Lewis has just had the biggest downfall in heavyweight history, nearly. Obviously, his chin's kind of gone. He just got destroyed by Sergey Spivak in his most recent fight. He just got taken down at will, which just reinforces the idea that Jon Jones would get the first takedown on this guy. He'd just push him up against the cage and trip him, because Derrick Lewis really struggles with trips, just struggles with takedowns in general, and I don't think he'd be able to get back up. I need gas. Very vulnerable to leg kicks, as we've seen. He's extremely flat-footed, and he just relies on a one-punch KO, and nowadays it never happens. People are waiting for it. They're ready for it to move out of the way. Jon Jones has good head movement. I could not see him landing on Jon Jones. And yeah, just not really with it. He probably needs to retire, to be honest. And I'd give him absolutely no chance in that matchup. We move on to another F-tier fighter, Chris Daukaus. You're a middleweight, okay? Honestly, I don't want to do another Chris Daukaus rant, but he's a middleweight. Chris, if you're watching this, bro, I'm going to look you straight in the eyes. Please, please, become a middleweight and cut down, because you can actually win fights at middleweight. There's bad middleweights. It's a very talentless division, and you're too small for a heavyweight. This guy needs to cut more weight. He'd get absolutely manhandled in the wrestling, and he's terrible at striking too. He'd probably get KO'd on the feet by like a head kick or something, or an elbow in the clinch, you know, as they break. And if not, Jones would just take him down and probably sub him within the first round, because Chris Daukaus is a middleweight in disguise. And he should never be fighting in heavyweight ever again. And I'm saying that for his well-being. Chris Daukaus, F-tier. We move on. Another fighter, C-tier, Curtis Blaydes. Not a big threat to Jon Jones. The reason being is that Curtis Blaydes wins a fight by knocking someone out, and then he thinks he's Muhammad Ali. Okay, then he thinks he's, you know, Mike Tyson. So that's his problem. He tries and stand and bang with Jones. And is his striking that bad? No, it isn't. It's all right for heavyweight, but he doesn't have the tools that Jones has. He just get his legs chewed up, get his knees damaged by the oblique kicks, and I think eventually, you know, he'd probably start to tire. And his wrestling, I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't think he's a better wrestler than Jones. I really don't. I just don't see it happening. I can see Jones like tripping him against the cage and maybe subbing him with a rear naked, but yeah, I just think if they stand and bang, I think he'd probably get a decision, maybe, you know. Because Curtis Blaydes has got a good chin, and Jon Jones doesn't have the most power in his punches. He's got good head kicks, but, you know, would he land one on Curtis? I don't know. And I think this fight, I don't know if Jones would even bother wrestling. I think he might just keep on the feet and win a decision win. But yeah, Curtis Blaydes, not too threatening. He's got a bit of power. You know, he could knock him out if he got a good strike, but I'm not counting on it because he thinks he's Muhammad Ali after he wins one stand-up fight. We move on. Another B tier. We're going for B tier. Alexander Volkov, I think he probably has a better chance than Stipe just because he's younger and he's rangy and yeah, he's just really rangy. It'd be a very different fight to what John Jones has ever had, so you'd have to get used to it. And you never know. He could outstrike Jones. He's kind of tricky to fight. As I said, he's long and rangy. He's good on the feet. He's got good stand up. He's got a bit of power. He's got underrated power. He has finished people before, so he has got it. Takedown defense is underrated. I know he got taken down by Aspinall, but those were two really good shots. So you can't really knock his takedown defense, because if it was a bad shot, I don't think he'd get it. I don't think he would have got taken down by the one that Jones went for in Gan. I don't think he would have been taken down by that and sub like that. But would he beat Jones? Probably not. And if he did, it would be a decision when he'd win 3 rounds. He'd win the first 3 rounds probably and then lose the last 2. But it probably wouldn't happen. On the rest, Jones has a wrestling advantage here, clearly. But the reason I'm putting him in B is because the size could be difficult for Jones. And you never know. Alexander Volkov could have a good first few rounds. We move on. D tier, Tai Tuivasa. This guy just, as long as this fight's on the feet, there's a chance that John Jones gets KO'd. A very slim chance. We saw it against Cyril Gane. He nearly finished Cyril Gane in the second round. But as soon as the fight goes to the ground, it's over. Tai will gas. He doesn't have very good wrestling. And that would be the end of days for Tai, I'm sure. So I don't really have much else to say, but, power on the feet. So, dangerous for Jones on the feet, but not actually that good at striking. Pretty basic. He's an average heavyweight. He's just a very traditional heavyweight. No grappling. Taken down, he's done. This guy, he'll get over a naked choke within 1 round of grappling. It'd be over. We move on. Sergey Spivak, D tier. We're putting him above Tai, though. Sergey's more dangerous matchup, and he's not dangerous at all. Still, he's an alright wrestler. We'll give him that, but he's not as good as Jones on the feet. Good at Jones as wrestling or on the feet. I think he'd lose in both dimensions. Not tremendous power either. I think he'd get pieced up and probably finished. Kind of in an Aspinall-esque way, but later on in the fight, after Jones chews up his legs and just makes him really immobile, lands a few body shots, and maybe just kind of takes him down and finishes him with elbows on the ground. So I could see that happening. Okay wrestling, not very dangerous on the feet, and that is why Sergey Spivak is going in D tier. Finally, our first S tier fighter, most dangerous matchup for John Jones, I think, is Francis Ngannou. The problem with this matchup is it probably won't happen, but a man can dream. And the reason I'm putting him above Aspinall and Pavlovich is because very, very dangerous on the feet. I know his boxing isn't the best, but it's still good enough. He would land on Jones. If he landed on Gane, he's going to land on Jones. We can just accept that. And underrated takedown defense. In his last fight against Stipe, he showed really good sprawl, really good takedown defense, and improved wrestling in general. They met up recently and Jones said, you'd need to practice your wrestling. Well, what do you think, Francis Ngannou's been doing for the last 3 years? He literally said that to him. He's like, I've been training for the last 3 years for you, mate. So, tough matchup for Jones. Jones would need to basically survive the first 2 rounds, and then it'd be a bit easier for him. But, you never know. Ngannou's got that knockout power practically the whole way through the fight. His cardio seems to be improving. I don't know how he's doing that, guys, you know what I mean? But, could stuff the takedowns. Am I saying he'd beat John Jones? I'm not saying that. I just say I think he has the best chance of beating him out of these guys. I think he's got a slightly bigger chance than Aspinall just because of his raw knockout power. You never know. He could just blitz forward within the first 20 seconds like he did against Rosenstrike. Jones would try and move backwards, but Francis Ngannou would walk forward too quickly, walk him down and just blitz him and KO him. That is very, very possible. I'm pretty sure he actually opened as a favourite against Jones at one point when they were scheduled to fight or rumoured to fight. And that's why Francis Ngannou is there. So we have one more person I'd like to add to this list, or should I say one more thing, and we'll just get him right here. It is S tier, Las Vegas Police Department. John Jones' biggest weakness is Las Vegas Police Department. Every time he goes to Las Vegas, bad things happen. So they're a weakness of Jones. Big dangerous matchup for him there. I could see him getting detained again in Vegas. But another dangerous matchup for him. And that is the video, guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this tier list. And comment down below who else you think and what changes you'd make to the tier list. Let me know. And subscribe. I do content like this every single day. Join the Tiz Army. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.